and we're gonna find a little bit more in the second chapter. I'm just gonna go briefly over the second chapter, and then we'll skip through some verses. All right.
Yeah. You said second chapter.
Yeah, second chapter.
Man, I think I just did a blunder.
Wow. Yeah. Okay.
What someone no. It's all right, to the people on YouTube that are just getting on. Please excuse me for not starting the stream on time. I was I was under the thought that the stream has started. I didn't press the start stream button, so we have started from Genesis chapter 1. And it's that was my mistake. Nasik. I didn't
Okay.
press the start stream, but for those of you that have us as friends on Facebook, you could go to the Facebook stream, and the stream will be there from the beginning on Facebook. On Facebook, the stream will be there from the beginning, and you could catch the whole complete stream on Facebook. To Padisha, thank you for contacting me and letting me know that the stream was not on YouTube. It is currently on YouTube now. So please excuse me, and I'll ask for Prince Zurishaddai to please pardon me for that blunder. And
I know you'd be busy, but I like to say to those that might want to see the first part, please do that, because I brought some information out that that would be very essential to what I'm about to finish up with. So
well, it's up to you. It's up to you if you want to start it over. I know it's it's tough for a teacher to do that sometimes, but
no, it's not really tough. I just don't want to belabor a lot of people. Then when they could go straight through, and it's
no. Well, actually, nobody heard it.
Nobody heard it.
No, only on Facebook. It was only like 3 people on Facebook that heard it, but no one heard it because I didn't start the stream. So we can actually start from the top, and it will be like a brand new thing.
Okay.
If you want to.
They didn't hear my my apologetic thing or clarification either about the.
Nah, they didn't hear anything. They didn't hear anything.
All right. Okay. Well, just to make it official. First of all, giving praise to the Pre-Return Universe, God, my forefathers, Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, and due respects to the dignitary here, Chief Prince Jerry from D.C.B, and also Chief Uzel, taking a lot of time to, put this together, and all of our brothers, Prince's Chief brothers and sisters, Maureen, Claudine, and Zephanim. All those that's in the sound of my voice, I greet you in the time of my forefathers. Shalom Aleichem, Shabbat Shalom. Adonai Septati Takubia Giti Odeaka. O Lord, down my lips, my mouth should declare that praise. We're going back to Bereshit. But first of all, I'd like to just say, earlier I spoke on about last time I was on, and it was about the tetragrammaton, the name of the Greek word for the name of the 4 letters. All right. And I made mention that the school I come from, BINAH, that we didn't use the term Yehovah much. Very rare unless we explain a particular item itself. We mostly said, Supreme Intellect of the Universe, the Most High, Supreme Intelligent Universe, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. We had said that most of the Israelites I knew coming up, that they was pretty much the same thing, in the same way. Now, one of my early teachers, Chief Barak, who later is known to some communities as Nasik Barak, when he had left pretty much BINAH and went to over in Manhattan, Pop Bibbins, that he had came back with some other sources, especially the old making the old Hebrew script popular, and also using to create a name. And when he I think helped work with Hakon Levy, the late Hakon Levy, Shalom Alai, that he was more influential in using the name Yehovah, because Cohen Levy coming from BINAH originally, I didn't know them to use that term either, coming from that particular background, that particular persuasion. So we have been exactly didn't use it as much, because if you use something kind of often, it diminishes the value of it. That's what vanity is. They're taking the name of the Lord their God in vain. So we're trying not to use it unless we're explaining it. Now, rabbinically, and that's what I said last time, rabbinically, they made it a ruling not to use it. They make it a ruling that if certain things are written with the tetragrammaton in it, they bury the books and stuff like that there. If you have it written on certain things, they wouldn't, they had a certain type of sanctity. That's rabbinic rulings for that. You won't find that in the Tanakh. Chief Fu said, already brought out one thing about, in that day his name shall be one, when Isaiah talked about, the Lord's name should be one. I think he mentioned what was the 60th?
Let me go to it. And in that Isaiah chapter 12, verse 4, it reads, "And in that day shall you say, Praise Yahweh, call upon his name, declare his doings among the people, make mention that his name is exalted." So actually, this was actually from a person that left a comment on your last teaching last week, and they left a bunch of quotation. Brother by the name of Soel, he left a bunch of points from the Tanakh, chapter and verses, showing that the name of the Most High, I guess, is to be mentioned. So
okay, now and so boss, recall calling what I said. I didn't say that you could not use it. I said what we didn't do, and I said rabbinic tradition had it. Not that's in the Tanakh, dealing from Bereshit all the way to Chronicles, or you want to say Malachi, the last prophet is speaking, and we want to use that particular order. But one of the things is that, and I focus on spoken earlier, is that during the time of Esther, the name is not mentioned at all. Usually after the Babylonian period, they start using the name as often. When you check certain books out, that's after that particular period. You don't find the creator's name mentioned as often as it is in the earlier books, before the exile, and not necessarily because of the extensiveness of it. It's because when another nation whip another nation, one nation whip another nation, then they say, "My God whip your God," and therefore we say our God never got whooped. We just was he just forsake us because of our sins. So and so we went into captivity because of our sins. So the safeguard that became a tradition afterwards, which then I said was a rabbinic ruling, not a Tanakh ruling. So I hope I made myself clear this time. It's just like your parents. You call them Abba or Ima, but when you tell them and say, "What's your father's name?" They might say, Zurishaddai, something like that. But you being my son or my daughter would say Abba. So and that is a thing of respect. Not because you hold me in a certain esteem, a certain honor, and much more so for the creator of all of us. All right, now we're gonna go straight to Bereshit right quick. The first chapter.
Hallelujah.
And you could just read the first line again, then I'm just going to highlight what we went through pretty much.
We're going to go into the book of Genesis, chapter 1, verse 1. Hallelujah.
Yeah, when you're ready.
In the beginning, God created the heaven and the earth. Right. Now the earth was unformed and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God hovered over the face of the waters.
Okay, all right there.
So, you want me to read it in Hebrew?
I ain't going to tax you too much because you're going to be doing a lot of reading.
Bereshit bara Elohim et hashemayim ve et haaretz ve haaretz.
All right, we're going to stop right there. We're just going to say, Bereshit bara Elohim et hashemayim ve haaretz. That's why I'm going to stop right now. Okay. All right. Within the 7 words that Chief was just read, and I just repeated. The whole creation is done within that 7 words. 7 words itself. You know, Bereshit, Bara, Elohim, Et, Hashemayim, Et, Ha'aretz. That's 7 words. Everything is done. So now, that being said, and as we look at that, then what we are now is getting an explanation of how things is done to our best of our knowledge, for our understanding and our edification. That's all we're getting from this point on. So when we go further down, in the next one verse, it says, but one of the things that I say, second verse.
Second verse. Now the earth was unformed and void, and darkness was upon the face of the deep, and the Spirit of God hovered over the face of the waters.
Okay, right then and there. All right. One of the things I like to focus on is that, how do you make something without a shape? How you come up with something without a form? So therefore, the English translation is real weak, because it said the Creator already did something. And if something is done, it exists.
Right.
So it exists in some kind of form. But the Hebrew let you know, tohu bohu means a state of chaos and confusion. That's what that means. And it's an abstract form of confusion. So that's what that means there. In that sense. So, but when the other people hear about, and translate the book into the English to them, to make it sound, palatable to the English mind, and say, for void, without, void, without a shape. But the thing is that something exists. It's there. But it was in a state of confusion.
Right.
It wasn't in the state that should be at this particular time. And they talk about the Spirit of the God, the Spirit of God, moving upon the face of the depths. I mean, and Spirit of God, hovered upon the face of the waters. All right. The word Malkefet al Hapanei Hamayim. All right. Malkefet itself is the word that's unusual, which means to hover. All right. That's like a bird over his young, over his dam, a dam over his young, rather, I should say. So that's the hovering part of it. So it's that type of care. Now, what the Spirit of God, the Ruach of God is, which is used the word Ruach there. All right. As far as I know, it's what it says. That's it. Can't give it no more definition other than that it's a divine source. That's it. I know it's of a divine source. Now, a lot of times when we say, I know they got a saying, I think in the New Testament, I think that God is spirit and truth. In which God is spirit and in truth. All right, God is spirit. All right, He's more than spirit, because once you say what He is, then He's not. So we got to understand that. The minute you could say what God is, then He ceased to be a God. So when we have appellations that we have in scriptures concerning the Creator. All right. And Moses, used the term, when he first asked for a particular name, Yah Asher Yah, I will be that I will be. Most books translate I am that I am, which is very limited.
Right.
All right. But when he used the tetragrammaton, Yod-Heh-Wah-Heh, then it's translated as eternal, because that's the closer we get. But when you say, He is, was, and will always will be the eternal one,
right,
everlasting, self-existing one. So when we have that concept like that of that, which most people, will say Adonai as opposed to, some more Orthodox people might say, Hashem or something like that, which means the name. That means that He's greater than His name. That's why He swear by Himself. And we got to remember that. So, so even though we called a name, he was given a name and said, "This is my name," but his memorial be the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob forever. Then a name of an individual limits an individual. It defines his character and his whole makeup. We can't do that with the Creator. So that I just want to share those things after passing when I'm related to Ruach. All right, so now we go further down, and God said, third verse. Let's read the third verse. I mean,
Third verse. And God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. And God saw the light, that it was good, and God divided the light from the darkness. And God called the light day, and the darkness he called night. And there was evening, and there was morning one day.
All right. And most books, like I said earlier, most books in King James Version, they would say first day. All right. But it's Yom Echad here. Now, you have what they call cardinal numbers, and you got ordinal numbers.
Right.
Cardinal numbers gives you quantity. Ordinal numbers give you rank, position, filing. So, as I spoke on earlier, said this guy, he came in third place in the race. Said, wow, he did fantastic. He come and finished third. Yeah, he came in third place, man. He was up there. And you say, well, how many people in the race? It was only 3. And that changes the perspective. You know what I mean? Because now he came in last, and if he finished the race, no matter what time he finished, he still would come in last and still be in third place.
Right.
All right. So so this is why when we talk about one day, it gives a quantity what makes up a day. And as I spoke earlier, and what makes up a day, it uses terms here. We found words like Koshek was darkness. We found out that we found terms like light. We found terms like the light was called day, and then the darkness was called night. So we got these different terms here. You got Yom, you got you got Or, you got Koshek, you got Lila. Now, Lila itself is moving. When you talk about Lila, it's actually moving, towards the night. Anytime you say Lila, you could say,
Lila
I'm going home. I'm going home, which is you say I'm going home in the Hebrew, and you could say, Ani Holek, Habayit. You can say Ani Holek Habayit, but then you could say Ani, Holek Bayita. Bayita is another word we say homeward. I'm going homeward. So when we look at this particular thing here of a day, we're talking about the totality of the day. So now light means day. The darkness combined with the night, with the light, is still a day. But then we had the day, you could break a day up in more parts than that. Because you got Erev, which is evening. You got Lila, which is night. If you want to go say Koshek, that'd be an extra one. Koshek, which is darkness. Then you got Shakarit. All right, so we could say Shakarit itself. All right, so now Shakarit is the dawn. Then you say Bokev, that's morning. Sohraim, that's a noonday. Sahor is actually a light, a splendid light, which is another word, another subject, which you'll find in next week's Sidra, so to speak, hinted at. Right. All right, then you got Akare Sohraim. And like I said, if you add Kosher is 6. And I mentioned earlier that we get to that part, we get to that last verse. I mean, that part there. But then on the next day, the 6th verse, just read on.
Verse 6, and God said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, and let it divide the waters from the waters. And God made the firmament, and divided the waters which were under the firmament from the waters which were above the firmament, and it was so. And God called the firmament heaven, and there was evening, and there was morning, a second day.
All right, so we got terms like, Shemayim, which is heaven. Shemayim is actually above waters. Mayim is waters. And Rokia, which is actually a span, so we translate it as a sky. All right, and then now you get the term Yom Shani, all right, which is a second day. All right, continue.
Verse 9, and God said, let the waters under the heaven be gathered together unto one place, and let the dry land appear. And it was so. And God called the dry land earth, and the gathering together of the waters called he seas.
Uh-huh.
And God saw that it was good. And God said,
All right. All right.
let the,
Okay. Yeah, keep going.
hold on,
No,
keep
go ahead.
going.
Go ahead.
And
Yeah.
God said, let the earth put forth grass, herb yielding seed, and fruit tree bearing fruit after its kind, wherein is the seed thereof upon the earth. And it was so.
Keep going.
And the earth brought forth grass, herb yielding seed after its kind, and tree bearing fruit, wherein is the seed thereof after its kind. And God saw that it was good. And there was evening and there was morning, a third day.
Okay, all right there. Now, what we have here in the second day is the word good is not there. But it was mentioned twice in the third day. You know, and of course, they have a comment on it that most people speak on it, you know, commentaries and stuff like that, different teaching, that a work started but not completed can never be good. We start a lot of things in life. We start a lot of projects in life, but very few things we actually commit ourselves to finishing. So now when we read here that the waters in the and the land and stuff like that, the seas weren't complete until the middle of the third day.
Right.
And then they said that was good once that completion was done. Then all the trees and the fruit bearing trees and the grass of the field and all that kind of stuff, once that was done, that was good. That's why this is the only day you have the word good mentioned twice. And yet it's not a Shabbat. But the work is completed and two things are actually fulfilled within that third day. They have some traditions that some people say, we're going to start a project, never start on a Monday, start on a Tuesday, because it might fail. That's, people had these phobias and stuff like that, but they take it from, berry sheep in that sense. Yeah. Me personally, when I usually try to start stuff, I usually try to start stuff on a Tuesday or myself, just from reading that. That's just one of my, pet peeves. So now we're going to the 14th verse.
Verse 14. And God said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night. And let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years. Let them be for lights in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth. And it was so. And God made the two great lights, the greater light to rule the day and the lesser light to rule the night, and the stars. And God set them in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth, and to rule over the day and over the night, and to divide the light from the darkness. And God saw that it was good. And there was evening and there was morning, a fourth day.
Hold right there. That's all right there. Okay. And what are they used for, the ma shalet. So when they use the word, the mam shalet, that means it comes from the word mashal, which means to govern. But in English, they say rule. And the word, and we know those lights. They talk about the lights. Oros, the lights there, which is or in singular. Is and they talk about a big light, which gadol or hakatan, a small light, a lesser light. But the thing is that when we say rule, the greater light to rule the day and the less light to rule the night, what that does is eliminate the creator ability and authority. The word mashal itself means to govern, manage. All right. So if you're managing something, that don't necessarily mean you rule it and own it and then control everything of it. All right. You have a responsibility. So the creator is the only actual ruler. And hence, we the ones ascribe, when we worship the sun, or we worship the moon, or you worship the stars, you assign authority that was never given from the creator. So we got to bear in mind that we know that sometimes in full moon, every full moon, moon's out during the daytime and the sun's supposed to be up. And in certain seasons, at certain times of the year, you can see stars out in the daytime in certain areas.
Yes, sir.
So, and it said for signs, for seasons, for days, and for years. I mentioned earlier that only at this time we could have an idea how to track time. We don't have an idea how long was the first 3 days took place. Could be eons, eons and eons, but they have different teachings. Like I said, so several ways to interpret Bereshit. And one of the things I spoke on earlier is you got Bashat, you got Remus, you got Jorash, and you got Sod. Now, when you talk about Bashat, is what I mostly like to use, especially when I speak to a broader audience. I don't know, everybody out there, what level they have understanding. It might be just new coming into this way of life or something like that. So I try to keep it more of a shot, which is a plain, simple meaning, but in context. Now you got what they call remus, which is something that's hinted at. All right, hint how, what, and it's something when you talk about Dorash, you're talking about something that you investigate even deeper and try to extrapolate certain things. And you got to be taught how to extrapolate certain things from certain elements. Right. And then you got soul, which is like supposed to be secret, but actually it's more of the Kabbalistic mystic view of interpreting scriptures. All right. We know that according to the first 7 words in the book of Bereshit, according to one form of teachings, they say that each word stands for 1,000 years, which is another story. So that's a Kabbalistic view. That's a sod. All right. The simple thing is what I just explained to you, that the whole creation is done right there in them 7 words. Because it said, in the beginning, God created the heavens and earth. Period. That means that's simple, plain, to the point. All right. So we ain't got to worry about how long of time between this and that and the other, or how old the earth is, because we don't have exactly how idea and what the 1,000 years represents something different than what you would think about each day was 1,000 years. Because you read in the book of scriptures, a lot of guys say, well, and they extrapolated where it says, through the Psalms that, a day is like, 1,000 years like a day in your sight. Right. And they attribute to that. So, we try to, avoid that area there, and just keep it, in a pashat, so to speak, plain. All right. Also, that the 24 hours of a day, like I mentioned, there's several terms you can use for the day, and which I explained as 6. But the first ones to come up that I know of offhand, I could be wrong, but the Egyptians I know for had a 24-hour day, but a 24-hour day was, was never equal 24 hours. Some hours be long, some hours be short. Simply because they take the joints of your fingers. You know what I mean? You got the 8 fingers, and you got 3 joints on each finger. So when you break 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, so you got 24. And just like your fingers is not equal all the way across, neither was their hours equal all the way across, but they had a 24-hour day. All right, and they took it from the fingers. All right, so bit of trivia, and also something to concern. Some people divide a day in 3 parts. 8 hours each. For various reasons. But we want to move on just a little bit without staying in this too long. All right, so now we're gonna jump down. Well, we know the 4th. After that, the 5th day, they made the creatures of the sea and the fowls. Right. We know they made that the creatures of the sea and the fowls, and we know that the creatures of the sea was blessed. All right, we know that the creatures of the sea was blessed, and so that was done on the 5th day. But I spoke on earlier, I think, and I almost forgot to mention that when you got the luminaries. I think that the trees and the grass and the fruit was done on the 3rd day. The sun and moon and all that and the stars on the 4th day. And we know wheat grow better under moonlight, and certain other fruit grow better under sunlight. We know when we look at that that particular element there, then how this don't follow the normal science. This don't follow normal science that we mostly taught, and that eliminates science because it's not about science, it's about the creator doing what he do. That's why Moses made mention that man does not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds from the mouth of the Lord does man live. So therefore, if you live by every word that proceeds from the mouth of the Lord, does man live, then Moses was a living example, how he sustained himself 40 days and 40 nights without drinking water, eating food, or even a bathroom break, is because the Creator constantly talked with them. And you notice he said after the Creator had finished speaking, then he came down. So um, the trees, the grass, all that could work and live and sustain itself without the Creator. Now, it's another area we could just say this is the blueprint. This is just a blueprint, the first chapter. But more so than just being a blueprint, I like to bring out some insight as well that why would the blueprint be in this order as opposed to the order that we would normally recognize today? All right, so
What
26
verse?
verse.
Verse 26.
Yes.
And God said, "Let us make man in our image, after our likeness. Let them let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth." And God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him, male and female created he them.
Okay. All right. Now, you know, when the animals and stuff was created, the cattle and all that was created on the same day man was. The sea creatures and the birds, fowls was created on the fifth day. Then man, you know, the cattle and all that stuff on the same day with man, but man's the last thing. Now we have another thing come up about, and this is a particular verse, is that now we have a new creation. We didn't hear the word created before until now again, and it's dealing with that. And I, thank my daughter Zurishaddai moms for me and her having this early discussion earlier, and made me see a little bit more insight into this here particular verse. But so I'm able to share a little bit more. So appreciate that. That only in the beginning we talk about creation. When it comes to man, talk about creation. And then it says, "Let us make man." Now, who's the us? And that's where the issue come in. Who's the us? Most people say it's a particular guy that had it, before he was even born through immaculate conception. That's him. Some, just say it's just wisdom. Some say it's everything that's created that's going to come together. Because we know wisdom itself speaks about itself as a feminine attribute. Da'at, feminine attribute. BINAH, feminine attribute. And all this is the feminine attribute. One thing I neglected to mention earlier, that when you talk about the dry land, it's a difference between Adamah and Eretz. All right, so I just want to bring that out. I neglected it in both times when I was speaking, trying to peruse somewhat. All right, when you talk about Eretz, land, that just could be any type. It could be just some rocks. It could be just some sand. It's just absent of water. Mountain range. A tundra, so to speak. Absent, but no water. That's what land is. When you're talking Adamah, you're talking more of a soil. So when we talk about Eretz, and Eretz is also is feminine. And when it comes down to people, where people from, even though it has a masculine ending. Like for instance, let me say Eretz Yisrael. All right, so when we say Eretz Yisrael, even though Yisrael is a masculine name, when they say Eretz Yisrael, it becomes feminine. That's just how it works. So anyway, one of the things that let us make, only when it came to man, it was a consideration being made. That means that in any great undertaking you take in life, you must take counsel. Any great undertaking. So, and a nation without counsel perish. Now, the Creator said, who did he have to counsel with? You don't have to ask anybody anything. But yeah, he do ask questions of people. It's a, what fault have your fathers found in me? He asked questions. Not that he getting any new information. It's just simply, to invite, it stimulate thought and invite, relationships. So therefore, when they say let us make man, in our image, you know, and after our likeness, we go further now and saying that anything we get ready to do that's great, we must consider and not lean to our own understanding, and
Right.
must say, well, okay, let me ask so and so what do you think about this. And now also, this the only creature that's gonna be made a dual being. Everything else, you know, zakat unekiba, male and female, you know. But here, this only gonna be a dual being. Read it. Continue from there. 27. Oh, yeah, let me see.
27. You said 27.
Yeah, make it. Yeah, 27. Yes.
Verse 27. And God
Yes.
created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him. Male and female created he them. And God blessed them. And God said unto them, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth, and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that creepeth upon the earth.
All right there. Okay. Now, man is given dominion over everything that's beyond himself. All right. Now, people say, well, what is the image of God? Do that mean that's what he looked like? If he was to take a human form? They don't say that. That's not an image that's conducive of the Creator. What is the real image that can be conducive of the Creator? One, we could have exercise authority. One, we can improve our lives. Another, that we are the only creatures on the planet that can extinct things out of existence and prolong things in existence, right, other than the Creator. We the only other creature that can become as great and keep constantly improving our status morally, spiritually, intellectually.
Right.
Or we could drop below so low that we got to reach up to touch the bottom of our feet. So we the only creature endowed like that. Hence, that's the image. So when we talk about the image of the Creator, we're talking about those attributes of love, reason, free will. We have free will. A lot of people like to say choice. I don't like to say choice. You know, and the reason I don't like to say free choice is because, you know, it was told to thee, oh man, what is good. And Moses, when he put that choice before us, he told us to choose. But we have free will, and that's what's important. And that's part of the image that we have there. So, and like I said, if we say, well, we don't want no more tigers on the planet, we could hunt them out in existence. And we don't want, no more dodo birds, hunt them out of existence. And then we talk about, oh, we got to save the blue whale, the sperm whale, this and that, the other. So now we start conservating. So now dominion, replenish, we're supposed to not only learn, but we're supposed to enhance our own environment. So we the only other creatures that can make a world better than what we made it, than we came in. No other creature could do that. That we could actually make the world better than it was when we came here. Or we could make it worse after we got here.
Right.
Chaos, tohu vabohu. Like it says in the beginning of Genesis. So those are some things. I hope I did some kind of justice to explaining what the image is. So we're gonna move on. And he was given a diet too, so he's able to eat fruit and trees, fruit and grass. But the animals itself was given a diet of just grass. The sea creatures wasn't given a diet. And
you mean fruit? You mean fruits and herbs, right?
Yeah, fruit and yeah. Well,
right,
herbs.
You said great, right?
Okay. Fruit and herbs, stuff like that. Right. Well, okay. Now we're in the second chapter.
So what about what about? I know you had mentioned something about being vegan or being vegetarian.
Okay. Oh yeah. The world started off as being a vegan in the beginning.
Right.
All right. Now, but that was a perfect world. All right.
Mm,
You know, the world didn't come too perfect after the Malbus, which is the flood.
right.
So then and it was the creator that said this is where it should be. All right. And the world then become too perfect before the Malbu.
Right.
All right. Some of your worst people that ever existed on the planet that the creator didn't find worth saving
Or
start off as
vegetarian.
vegans.
Right. Vegans.
I mean, so so we could go either way. Some people say at the end of time, in the latter days, we'll be mostly vegan. Hopefully I'm living long enough to find out who's right or wrong.
Well,
Right,
besides the offerings that you ordered to eat in
right,
the
exactly.
Pesach.
And there's always a commentary about that. But
Right.
but besides that, that's why I would say if we had to eat that Pesach lamb on a regular, and
Right.
then if you certain offerings you bring up, the priest himself, that was supposed to be the most highest spiritual man in the nation, some offerings he had to eat. He couldn't just say, I'm gonna throw this out. I'm changing my diet.
Right.
All right. I'm gonna get the maul to the dog,
Nah.
the shoulder. He
Nah.
can't do that. you know.
Nah.
So
What about I have another question.
yeah.
Verse 28, and God blessed them, and God said unto them, be fruitful and multiply and replenish the earth. Now, if the earth was just being created for the first time, I don't know if the translation is wrong by replenish.
Okay. Yeah.
Can you explain that a little bit better? Because when people, a newcomer sees that, will say, well, there must have been people on the
I mean,
earth before.
I think I spoke on it earlier. I said we can enhance our environment or can make it in a state of tohu babohu, chaos.
Okay, chaos.
All
Okay,
right. So that means we can make the environment better or we can make it worse.
worse.
Now they got this big political thing about global warming and stuff like that there. All right. Uh, I mean, but yeah, it's a prayer said, the creator bears the times and changes the seasons.
Mm,
So he does that. I mean, we could destroy a particular area, but we can't destroy the planet, you know, and we could enhance a particular area, but we may not enhance all over the planet. So that those areas there, so we replenish. That means not only you learn in your environment and you know of your environment, but you're supposed to make it better.
mm,
So when you use something, you're supposed to enhance it. When you move into an apartment, you might start bringing furniture in. You say, well, now I got my basic furniture here. I got my bed. I got my table. I got some pots and pans. I got a stove. I got a place to put my food at. Then you say, oh, wait, let me try to embellish it, deck it out. You know, so that's I mean, and that's enhancing. That's replace. Because and then instead of taking away, and we take away, we cut down a tree, what are we using it for to enhance the area? And we eat fruit, are we recycling and replanting anything? All right. So everything is about, about uh, giving back and enhancing what we take. In other words, you're supposed to, when you replenish something, you actually making it better than what it was when you took from it.
mm.
So if that makes sense to some people.
But I thought the correct interpretation or translation was fill the earth, not
Oh, yeah,
replenish.
yeah, yeah. The word Malay is used in as far as filling,
Right.
filling the earth. But when you're filling something up, I mean, you had taken that. If you got to fill something up, that means it's something you put in there that wasn't there already.
Okay.
That's why, hence the word replenish is there to make
Gotcha.
something full. All right.
All right. So chapter 2 now,
Yes, chapter 2.
verse 1. And the heaven and the earth were finished, and all the host of them. And on the seventh day God finished his work which he had made, and he rested on the seventh day from all his work which he had made. And
Okay.
God,
Now, a lot of people think the Creator became tired. Now here we got another thing talk about the Shabbat day. All right. Now a lot of people look at the terms here. You know what I mean? In the second chapter. You know what I mean? And when we get into the second chapter, little bit further down, that they think that it's a different book, you know, and a different style. That's why I was talking about the priestly teaching, the Elohim story theory, the Elohim Adonai story, or just the plain Adonai story, of which tetragrammatized. What I mean when I'm saying that.
Right.
But it is that it said the heavens and the earth were finished, and all the hosts of them. And on the seventh day, God finished his work which he had made, and he rested on the seventh day from all his work which he had made. And you know, when we look at that there, it says Mikal Malakto, Asher Asa. So so that means right then and there, from all the work. But one of the things is that um, when when it said he rested, it used that term Shabbat, so to speak. And a lot of people figure um, Shabbat itself. When we talk about Shabbat, and that brings another argument too, pretty much so. I really don't want to focus on it right now because so much stuff in Genesis. But the word Shabbat not only means that particular day, but it also means to cease or be on strike. And and the Creator actually ceased, from actually his work that was done. You know what I mean? And doing that, he sets an example of observing a Shabbat. So why you say 6 days and then the 7th day Shabbat and you cease? Because one, if you have not a due date, one thing I used to do when I was the chair of meetings is that if we had a project, I'd say, right, what day we gonna finish it? How long is it gonna take? Because if we don't have a due date, if you got forever to do something, you take forever to do something. So the Creator setting an example, though he lives forever, that when we observe the Shabbat, it says, 6 days thou shalt labor and do all thy work, but the 7th day thou shalt rest and cease from thy work. Then why go back to work the next day if you did all your work? Because you got to have a point in time where you say, this is enough for now. And you got to set goals for yourself. So if you're setting goals for yourself, one goal is never enough in life. You got to set goals in life. So therefore, if you say, I achieved this, and it's nothing else to achieve, then, as we used to say in the old days, you're ready for the boneyard. You're ready for the boneyard, the grave. Because it's always something to achieve. It's just that you reach a certain point and say, okay, I want to reach this particular point now, and this time here, I'm going to dedicate to the Creator. That's what we do on Shabbat. Try to dedicate to the Creator. You know what I mean? And keep our thoughts and develop our spiritual awareness of the Creator on that particular day. Most brothers think, hey, to go to sleep. Most people figure the rest is to go ahead and go to bed and chill out. And that's not what the Creator is talking about, and let you know from the things that he did, progressive stuff outside of himself.
Right.
Let's go a little bit further. And a lot of times when we look at this here particular chapter, we look at this here more as the actual produce, because when it says the heavens and the earth was finished, you notice it don't go back to tell you about what's done on each day.
Right.
In this particular chapter. But those people that try to, because you got a lot of critics that say this is a whole nother book with a different account of the creation. Because of the wording, it says, it says the heavens and the earth were finished. And so when it, and then when it gets down to the fourth verse, read the fourth verse.
Verse 4. These are the generations of the heaven and the earth when they were created, in the day that Yehovah God made earth and heaven. No shrub of the...
I just want to point this point out. All right. You notice that in the day that he made, in heaven. All right. But the wording at the beginning up here, it says, these are the generation of the heaven and the earth when they were created. And we read in chapter 1, in the beginning God created heaven and earth. But then when you read how it's done, you find that the heavens come up later. You know what I mean? From the waters.
Mm.
You know, it comes from the waters. So people have this controversy about, you know, two different chapters. One is a blueprint and one is, you know, focusing on another aspect. All right. So one is a creation thing. So the purpose in mind. In other words, everything was there to reach the Shabbat. So the purpose of the creation and the purpose of man is to reach the Shabbat. We used to say in BINAH years ago, the Shabbat was ordained of old, divinely taught. It was the last in the creation, but the first in thought. So that's what we used to say concerning the Shabbat.
Right.
You know, because it was thought of, and just like man out the last physical creations was thought of before the rest of the creations, so was the Shabbat thought of before all this came about.
Yeah.
Because that's why we say the Shabbat was made for man and not man for the Shabbat. So now when we get into the regular blueprint, let's read on. We read about the Shabbat now. So we read about the blueprint and the creation. Now let's look at this order here. All right, continue.
Okay, verse.
Yeah.
What verse we up to?
5. No,
verse 5. No shrub of the field was yet in the earth, and no herb of the field had yet sprung up. For Yehovah God had not caused it to rain upon the earth, and there was not a man to till the ground.
Keep going.
But there went up a mist from the earth and watered the whole face of the garden, of the ground. Then Yehovah God formed man of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul.
All right, we're gonna stop right there just for a minute. All right, so basically, we got this new thing called, you know, because rain is mentioned, but rain is not there. All right, so you know, and you know, so he's caused a mist to come up, you know, to water the whole earth. So it's a lot of things we'll get down to know it part. You know, it's safe to speak on a little bit next week in reference to this particular portion here. All right, but it says but it says it was not a man to till the ground. So man had a job before he got here.
Right.
All right. So it wasn't no free ride from the very beginning. We had a responsibility, because there's no ability without responsibility. All right. I know I can get to that today. So.
Well, you know, I'm
good.
Oh, I was going to tell you just not to rush it. If you feel like you're rushed, we can always pick it up on Yom Rishon on Sunday if you want to.
I'm good. I'm gonna do this here, you know, because most people had heard the stories. I'm just gonna highlight some points.
Okay, no problem.
All right.
Verse 8.
All right.
And Yehovah God planted a garden eastward in Eden, and there he put the man whom he had formed. And now the ground made Yehovah God to grow every tree that is pleasant to the sight and good for food, and the tree of life also in the midst of the garden, and the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And a river.
All right. First of all, all right, that's good enough. All right. You notice this particular garden, the Creator Himself planted. He allowed the earth to bring it up. This actually an input from the Creator into the earth.
Right.
That's why I said He actually planted a garden.
Right.
It was not a man to till the soil, but yet the Creator planted a garden within the earth.
Right.
You know, and man himself, is that the Creator breathed the breath of life into him. So this is the only creature that the Creator had hands on. The Neshama. It's 5 terms that's used for man, you know, which I speak on next week. But it's 5 terms, and when we look at the creation story, it's always 5 different things. The number 5 come up just like when we get to the 6th day. You know, that's the only day that says, you know, Yom HaShivi'i, but it uses the hay, and the hay is the number 5, which is another lesson in itself to show you that as we go through each day, it talks about 5 different things that we could extrapolate 5 different things each of the days that we read about in Bereshit 1, which if I remember, I'll bring it next week. All right. So we going on to the next one. Keep going.
Verse.
Oh, no, not. All right. So we know it's a real. We know it's a real garden. We know it's an earthbound garden.
Right.
All right. And it said, you know, I mean, and talk about a river to come out of God and pour it in 4 heads. All right, 2 of the rivers we know of today. You know what I mean? All right, but let's go down. Let's skip on down to the 15th verse.
Verse 15. And Yehovah God took the man and put him into the garden of Eden to dress it and to keep it.
Uh-huh.
And Yehovah God commanded the man, saying, of every tree of the garden you mayest freely eat, but of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil thou shalt not eat of it, for in the day that thou eatest thereof thou shalt surely die.
Okay. All right. Then he got one prohibition. One prohibition. One negative command right here. Not to eat from a particular tree. All right. But he had a job. You know, the job was, to dress the garden and to keep it. That was his job. That means that every tree he could dress. Every tree he got to attend, including the tree of Estaat Wara. You know, the tree of knowledge of good and evil.
Right.
All right. And then what goes next? This is I got to focus here just for a moment. Okay.
Verse 18.
Okay.
And Yehovah God said, it is not good that the man should be alone. I'll make him a helpmeet for him. And out of the ground Yehovah God made form every beast of the field and every fowl of the air, and brought them unto man to see what he will call them. And whatsoever the man will call every living creature, that was to be the name thereof.
I hold right there before we get to the 20th verse. All right. One of the things is that, all right, when it talks about first time God, the Creator said, it's not good that man should be alone. All right. And they use the word connecto. All right. Connecto is something that stands against an individual. Right. You know, an opposing part of an individual. Right. You know, they already said male and female created he them. And they use the term them, but yet he's still alone. Now, you know, and you wonder, say, okay, a formed man in the dust of the ground, but yet in Genesis 1, male and female created he them. So he had both within himself in the creation thing. All right. And it goes on and say
verse 20.
Oh no, before you get to 20, he have intelligence. When the Creator created and formed the first man, of the dust of the ground, all right, and one of the things is that he was not a caveman where he was lacking intelligence. He had the power of speech, he had the power of recognition, and he had the power of memory. Some of us don't remember too much today.
True story.
You know, but he had to be able to make reconnaissance and look at this creature he had nothing to do with and define the character of that creature. And the Creator, and it was so unique that the creature, once Adam pronounced that name for that creature had that characteristic. This is what the Creator endowed man with: the power to name things. Animals don't go naming us. Birds don't go naming us. You know, the fruit trees, we named them. Ain't that something?
Yeah.
You know, so those are some of the image and characteristics, you know, making it being in Creator's image that I was pointing out earlier. All right, it goes on to say 21st.
Verse 20. And the man gave names to all cattle, and to the fowl of the air, and to every beast of the field. But for Adam there was not found a helpmeet for him.
All right. It said connecto, help against, you know. All right. So to stand against them. Somebody to help stand against you. And you say, well, how could somebody oppose you, help you? Well, we used to say, don't give me a bunch of yes men. Give me somebody with a different viewpoint.
Right.
Now, only an egotistical individual want a bunch of yes folks. And I used to have this saying that when you cause a person to think, they hate you. When you make them think you think, they think, they love you because they got all the answers. So you make them think they think because they got the answers. But when you make them think, then they say, "Oh man, I ain't got that answer." That's only that only affects the egotistical individual,
Right.
right? Because you don't want to. Me personally, I don't want to know all the answers. You know what I mean? Sometimes I figure I know too much for what I know now is bad enough. So we go a little bit further, and he says, 21.
Verse 21. And Yehovah God caused a deep sleep to fall upon the man, and he slept.
Okay. Uh-huh.
And he took one of his ribs and closed up the place with the flesh instead thereof.
Okay.
And the rib which Yehovah God had taken from the man made he a woman and brought her unto the man.
Uh-huh.
And the man said, This is now bone of my bones and flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman because she was taken out of man.
Okay. All right. So now he used the term. We've got this term Isha for her, and one of the things, like I said earlier about Baita, homeward bound. Isha is one that's going towards man. You got Isha in it, and then you got the hay. Well,
Right.
which is another thing. I don't want to do with the what you call the soul part, but anyway, in that Pashat, Isha is actually a woman that means towards man, but something from man, towards man. So, one of the things is that he was asleep. This operation took place. The Creator built her, not create her. Built her up, and and he named her, and recognized that she's part of him. And and then this last part, it said, "Wherefore a man shall leave his mother and father, and cleave unto his wife, and shall be as one flesh." A lot of times we have a lot of questions about what do that mean, and who actually said that. All right. Some say the Creator said that, and some say Moses predicted and said that. But the essence of whether you believe the Creator said it directly, because it's not identified who's doing this talking. Whether you think Adam said it, where you think Moshe said it, the main theme behind it is that a man will leave from one spot of comfort zone, his father and his mother, and cleave unto his wife, create another comfort zone. But he's not diminishing and abandoning father and mother. What he's actually doing is replenishing and enhancing and starting the cycle all over of father and mother.
Right.
So that's a difference.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So when it says, so marriage is a sacred institution. It's a sacred thing. You read in the prophecy, and I think in the book of Isaiah somewhere, it says, God hate putting away. He even told us, where's our bill of divorce? These are some of the things that he asked. Where's our bill of divorce? So when we look at those teachings like that, when a man leaves his father and mother, we think, hey, this guy abandoned pops. This guy abandoned moms. No. What he's going to do is create the same kind of relationship and move forward in that relationship that was divinely started by the Creator. And that's what it is. And they work as one, as a team. I help me to give him an opposing point of view, not the same point of view all the time. They say one person might think analytical and one person might think abstract. Sometimes you might need the analytical view, and then sometimes you might need the abstract view. All right. So those type of things, it need to complement. So that means that if something is taken from you, that means you became less. So now you got to get that back to you so you can become whole again. So usually when unless you became a widow, if you became a widow or something like that there, especially as a man. And one of the things I said many times, which a lot of brothers don't like to hear, is that most of the time when the man died, the woman lives a long time. But when the woman dies, the man dies shortly after her. That's usually the trend. And mostly almost all types of society. Not so much with our patriarchs now. So we wonder, Abraham outlived his, Yitzchak outlived his, Yaakov outlived his. I wonder what happened now, these days, how this thing switched around. Because usually the man feel incomplete. It's never the woman that felt incomplete. So, I mean, these are long conversations for another time, as they say. All right. But we'll skip on down here, and deal with the third chapter a little bit. And it says, now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field which the Lord had made. And he said unto the woman, yea, have God said, you shall not eat any tree of the garden. And the woman said unto the serpent, of the fruit of the trees of the garden of the gardens we may eat, but the fruit of the tree which is in the midst of the garden, God has said, you should not eat, neither shall you touch it, lest you die. All right. And the serpent said unto the woman, you should not surely die, for God doth know that in the day ye eat thereof, then your eyes shall be open, you shall be as gods, knowing good and evil.
Right.
Now,
right.
I read that very quick just to, to bring out some points. And one of the points I like to bring out is that, first of all, Adam and Eve was naked and they wasn't ashamed. They used the same word, same root word for arumim is naked. All right, and arum, which is the same shorish, is cunning, subtle. All right. So there's another lecture, but I do that another time in reference to that. But in reference to if a child don't feel any shame when they walk around butt naked, whether it's male or female, they don't think nothing corrupt either when they're young. If the pamper wet, they taking it off. If they got to go, they got to go. They don't feel no way about that. But you could be married in most situations and you still have this little shame. You can have children, but in certain areas of your life, in your household, you might say, oh, excuse me. Like that. So, and the reason, one of the main reasons is because a lot of times our minds think of the negative thing that could be done and produced. So when you think about what the negative stuff about, your body, then naturally that may bring shame if you have some moral concepts that you measure up against. But if you don't have no moral concepts that you measure up against with, to say, well, I could use this corruptly, because to be able to procreate, be fruitful, multiply, they know how to do that. They didn't have to be taught how to do that. But to do anything else out the ordinary, that could bring shame. Do everything that's perverse could bring shame when you know of it. So Adam and Eve was in their innocent stage at this particular time before they ate of the fruit. All right, and the serpent, he's more subtle than all beasts of the field, but not smarter than Adam and not smarter than Eve. But he's more cunning and smarter than the rest of the beasts that's out there. And not only that, he approached Eve and he raised doubt. Once a person raised doubt about what you're supposed to do, then you start to question and second guess yourself.
Right.
Right? Because he made you raise doubt about it. And she added some prohibitions. Some people say, well, Adam might have said, look here, I got the, I'm going to tell you what God told me, but I'm going to add another one on you, an extra law, extra ruling. I doubt if he did that, but I'm saying, but this is a lot of commentaries that, because I spoke on, and the reason I doubt it, as I spoke on earlier, you're supposed to dress the tree of knowledge of good and evil as well. So if you're supposed to keep and dress all the trees of the garden, it was no prohibition against dressing and keeping all the trees of the garden. I mean, you follow me?
Yes.
So, but it was a prohibition against eating of one particular tree in that garden.
Right.
So a lot of times when people try to use the thing that Adam added, what they call in rabbinic literature, a siyag, which is a fence. In other words, the law says this, I'm gonna add an extra law here to prohibit you. All right, from even coming up to the, before you even get up to this part.
Right.
So they say Adam must have added an extra ruling for, but I just once doubt come in, you might add stuff in because you raised doubt when there was no doubt of what you're supposed to do.
Right.
And then after that, she started looking at the tree a different way. It said desirable. If the Creator planted a garden, all the garden looked beautiful.
Right.
All the garden looked desirable. And it's and you could identify every single fruit in that garden. So it ain't no tree that's gonna say, "Well, I'm gonna make a mistake," So those things, I just throw that out there, for people that speak on. I mean, and consider. All right, and then it goes on to say at the 6th verse.
Verse 6 in chapter 3, it
Yes.
reads, "And when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was a delight to the eyes, and that the tree was to be desired to make one wise, she took of the fruit thereof and did eat, and she gave also unto her husband with her, and he did eat. And the eyes of them both were open, and they knew that they were naked, and they sewed fig leaves together and made themselves girdles."
Okay, a lot of questions come up behind that. But that I'll leave that for a discussion period when the questions come up. All right, but I'm not sure, and since I'm just doing review. All right, but one of the things is that it looked like a simple case from Jump Street, and since it looked like a simple case from Jump Street, people get caught up on the simple case and lose it and miss it, because the thing was that when they say gave with her husband with her, some people say he was standing right there, or it could be a husband that's in the area accompanying her and in agreement with her on this movement. So when somebody is with you, yeah, he could be across town,
Right.
across the street.
Right.
They say, are y'all with me? Yeah, I'm with you. And then someone could be right next to you, so, right next to you. So, but in accompaniment or with, it could be right there or someplace else in the distance. And then when we read further into the thing that goes on beyond this, I'm just gonna finish this and talk about Cain and Abel, and then that'll be it.
All right.
So,
verse 9. You want me to go?
yeah, go 9.
9. And Yehovah God. Verse 8.
Yes.
Verse 8. Verse 8. And they heard the voice of Yehovah God walking in the garden toward the cool of the day. And the man and his wife hid themselves from the presence of Yehovah God amongst the trees of the garden.
All right. One of the things I brought out before when I was speaking on Yom Kippur, how can you hide yourself from the presence of God? There's no donor left from the presence of the Creator. You try to discard him out your mind. You try to discard him out your mind. Yet you know he's there. So now they physically call themselves, because I think I can't see through this leaf or see amongst these leaves. You can't see me. You don't know I'm there. It's almost like the little child that just say, "Peekaboo, you can't see me," but you close your eyes. But babies do that. You say, "Play peekaboo." You say, "Peekaboo, you can't see me," but they the ones can't see. And this is a classic example. Now, there's a lot of stories about about the voice, coming through the voice of God and all that kind of stuff, which is another story. I'm not going to go into it at this time. But one of the things is that they hid amongst the trees of the garden. And then 9, it says.
Verse 9 reads, "And Yehovah God called unto the man and said unto him, Where art thou? And he said, I heard thy voice in the garden, and I was afraid, because I was naked, and I hid myself. And he said, who told thee that thou was naked? Hast thou eaten of the tree whereof I commanded thee that thou shouldest not eat? And the man said,
before you get there, the first question that was ever asked by the Creator to man is, where art thou? And he said, I heard that voice in the garden, and I was afraid because I was naked, and I hid myself. Did he explain where he was? No, he didn't. That question is never answered. The Creator asked, where are you at? And I said, look, I heard your voice. So I hear. That ain't telling me where you at. It's telling me what you're doing.
Right.
You know, so and sometimes when you talk to your own children and you ask them questions for something they did wrong, you be looking at, you be standing like this, this guy must think I'm a new kind of fool. You know, because I want them to see what they're doing and fess up. I might lighten up.
Right.
I might lighten up.
Right.
But you know, Adam never answered that question. You know, you know, and but the Creator asked another, follow up with another question. You know what I mean? And said, you know, who told thee that thou was naked? Hast thou eaten of the tree whereas I commanded thee that thou shouldest not eat? And the man said, the woman whom thou gavest
to be with me, she gave me of the tree, and I did eat.
Wow. Okay. Now, shifting the weight, responsibility.
Pass the buck.
All right. But, all right, you know, did he lie? No, he didn't lie. He just didn't take responsibility. All right, that's the difference. See, some people don't lie about a situation, but they won't be responsible about the situation, because the question is about real standards, not what somebody else caused you to do. So when you rebuke a brother or something like that, you saying, look, that's beneath your standard. You don't belong down there, brother. That's not you. Right. You're better than that. So here it is. Adam brings it to his rebuttal. The woman you gave to me, she gave me, and I ate. Now, what is more profound and deep is that if I'm supposed to listen to my helpmeet, then I'm thinking she's supposed to help me out. Right. That's why you gave it to me in the first place. That's why you gave it to me in the first place. Because I'm thinking she's supposed to help me out. So therefore, I don't understand. What's this problem? What's the problem? Because you did this, she did this. Why are you looking at me? But then why did he feel guilty? Right. That's the thing. So it's hilarious when we exploit it in deep, but I won't have time to get to all that this time. But anyway, and then the woman says, the 13th verse, and the woman said,
verse 13, and Yehovah God said unto the woman, what is this that thou hast done? And the woman said, the serpent beguiled me, and I did eat. And Yehovah God said unto the serpent, because thou hast done this, cursed art thou from among all cattle, and from among all the beasts of the field. Upon thy belly shalt thou go, and thus shalt thou eat all the days of thy life.
Keep going.
And I'll put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed. They shall bruise thy head, and thou shalt bruise their heel. Unto the woman he said, unto the woman he said, I will greatly multiply thy pain and thy travail. In pain thou shalt bring forth children, and thy desire shall be to thy husband, and he shall rule over thee. Unto Adam he said, because thou hast hearkened unto the voice of thy wife, and hast eaten of the tree, of which I command thee, saying, thou shalt not eat of it. Curses the ground for thy sake, and toil shalt thou eat of it all the days of thy life. Thorns also and thistles shall it bring forth to thee, and thou shalt eat the herb of the field.
Okay, keep going.
In the sweat of thy face shalt thou eat bread, till thou return unto thy ground, for out of it was thou taken, for dust thou art, and unto dust shalt thou return.
Hold right there. All right. Now, Chief read a lot of information here, and a lot of insight. All right. But one of the things I greatly multiply, pain, and pain and die travail. A lot of people figure, and this is what most people teach. Been my experience, coming up as a youth, and a young teacher coming up, that it's pain in childbirth. But a lot of times we didn't understand what the pain of childbirth was. The pain of childbirth is not just having children, but worrying about the growing up and the dangers your children might face. That was the pain of sorrow of conception. Is a child gonna be healthy while I'm carrying them? Am I gonna be healthy while I'm carrying them? Am I miscarriage?
Am I going to live after?
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? All those areas. And then when the child come, how are you going to grow up? I got to look out for safety for them because they can't look out for themselves.
Right.
I got to make sure they eat at a certain time. I got to make sure they don't get caught up in this and that and the other. Right. So the worryation of childbirth, because you only can multiply. 1 times 1 is just 1.
Right.
All right. But it's more than one variation you had to do. So when you multiply something else, it's a compound of things that could cause stress and worry. Right. People worry about their kids, they be grown. I don't want my child going out in the street at night, man. Too much stuff happening to these black guys today. Right. So, what I mean? He might look like, bebop down the block. They mistake him, and next thing you know, it's a problem. Right. And no matter how old the child is. So those are things, I tend to focus on when I read that verse. All right. With Adam, it said, because all right, and the man, better yet, let me say. For Adam it said, because thou hast hearkened to the voice of thy wife, and hast eaten of the tree which I commanded thee, saying, thou shalt not eat of it. Curse the ground for thy sake. Most people in the church say man was cursed. Man was never cursed. The woman was never cursed. The serpent was the only thing cursed, along with the ground from which the man was taken from. Those are the 2 only things that's read cursed here. And I can't emphasize that enough because we as Israelites don't believe in man being cursed from the beginning. And that's already a problem for those that believe in, the Immaculate Conception and that concept. That, man was damned from the beginning. Man was cursed from the beginning. Even after Adam ate of the fruit, man was cursed. You don't read that man was cursed there. You don't read that the woman was cursed there. So, this is some PowerPoints that we got to keep in mind. The serpent was cursed. The ground was cursed, and it said, for the sake of man, for me not cursing man, I'm gonna curse the ground from which he came from. Make his work, make his job hard. That's what the Creator said. And he said, listen to the voice of his wife. So Adam, the woman said she was beguiled, she was tricked. She was mesmerized. Adam wasn't mesmerized. This is a conversation the Creator kept private from the whole human race of posterity. What did Kawa tell Adam to convince him to eat? What she told him to convince him to eat was not intellectual enough for him logically to accept it. It was the anxiety of the voice. So sometimes because of the voice of a woman, a man would do certain things. Not because of the reasoning of her line of logic or her wording. That's why it says to the voice of your wife and never to the words of your wife. Because sometimes in her anxiety, you say, well, you ain't making no sense, but I can see your anger, so therefore I'm going to do this here. Just to calm things down. Smooth it out. That is what's being spoken on here. And then, we get another thing later on, but I just want to bring up about Cain and Abel. So just skip on down with it says, and man, fourth chapter says, and the man knew wife, knew Eve. I'm just
Chapter
gonna
4, Genesis chapter 4, verse 1. And the
yes.
man knew his wife, and she conceived and bore Cain, and said, I have gotten a man with the help of the Lord.
Uh-huh.
And again she bore his brother Abel, and Abel was a keeper of sheep, but Cain was a tiller of the ground.
All right, the
And,
word I know Havel itself, which most books read Abel. All right,
right.
Abel went to Abel in this situation, but Havel means vanity.
Okay.
That's what the word Havel means. It means vanity, vain. Also, it means like a breath.
Okay.
He lived a short life. Cain, but they translate here. I mean, read as Cain, mean acquisition. Trying to accumulate stuff. All right. So I just want to bring those two out, and it says only. But the important part that I like to focus on, it says, and the man knew Eve his wife, and she conceived. Right. That means she didn't lead. She got conceived after Adam knew her, not prior.
Right.
So we must always realize only then she was conceived with a child. After Adam knew her and got with her. And I know it's a whole bunch of other stories going on, but I'm not going to speak on those. All right. And Abel had an occupation, keep her sheep, and Cain was tiller of the ground. All right. We're gonna come and just finish up with the destruction of Abel, and that'll be it for now. All right.
And in process of time it came to pass that Cain brought of the fruit of the ground and offered unto Jehovah. And Abel he also brought of the firstlings of his flock, of the fat thereof. And Jehovah had respect unto Abel and to his offering, but unto Cain and to his offering he had no respect. And Cain was very wroth, and his countenance fell.
Okay, hold right there.
Mm-hmm.
All right. The first one to offer up was Cain. First one. Abel followed him. Remember, vanity, acquisition. Abel gave up the best, what he was doing. But it was Cain that first make the first move to bring an offering. We don't read nowhere where the Creator told him to bring an offering. We never read where he required it from neither one of them. But yet, this is an important point to consider. All right. And yet the Creator, had respect for Abel's offering, but not Cain. All right. And Cain was very raw, and his countenance fell. Now the 6th verse is very important.
Verse 6 reads, And Jehovah said unto Cain, Why art thou raw? And why is thy countenance fallen? If thou doest well, shall it not be lifted up? And if thou doest not well, sin coucheth at the door. And unto thee it's its desire, but thou mayest rule over it.
Oh, right there. All right. Without being redundant on that particular spot, one of the things that what most people fail to speak on a lot of times is that though Cain's sacrifice wasn't accepted, though he was angry, though his countenance is fallen, you don't read where the Creator spoke to Abel. He spoke to Cain. And my point is that we just passed through Yom Kippur and everything like that, and Sukkot and Shemini Atzeret and stuff like that at this time. And then now, we start over with Bereshit. And the Creator addressed the one that failed and not the one that succeeded. So the Creator was more concerned about an individual failing below his status, knowing that he could do better. And then when we look even further, we don't know what kind of mentality Cain had. We know Abel took up the best that he had. Now, I always like to bring this out. If the ground was cursed, how good could the fruit be? How good could the produce be? So Are you giving? This all you gave me, so this all I'm giving you. Because yeah, I work so hard, and this all I got. Now, I'm gonna show you what I got. If I gotta appreciate this, you must appreciate that. Could that be the attitude? I don't know if that's the attitude. But we know the ground was cursed as long as Adam was on the face of the planet. And we know that Cain was a tiller of the ground, and he brought the produce of the ground. It don't say what the quality of the produce that he chose from, but we know the ground was cursed. And we know that the ground will not bring up its increase, you know? And we know that the Creator liked perfect stuff without blemishes. No mumim, no blemishes at all. And Abel brought up the best. But even in his failure, the Creator was concerned about his feelings. And that says volumes. That sometimes things don't go good in our life. Sometimes, you know, we take a hit in our life. We get a setback in our life. We get a roadblock in our life. Right. And that don't mean just to give up and quit and get upset. You know, we pray to God. We say a lot of prayers, and it seems like our prayers will never be answered. But it be answered in the way we don't like, because we don't like that word no. Not yet. Maybe later. You ain't ready for it. That kind of stuff. So the Creator addressed it Cain and said, "You got hope. If you do good, do good. Will you not do? If you do good, will you not be blessed? If not, sin lies at the door, and the desire should be on you. But you can rule over that sin now. You can control that."
Right.
So, and you know, he was wrong with the Creator. But who, you know, he's gonna take it out on? He's gonna take it out on his brother. And it goes on further and say, we're gonna just finish out what happens here.
It says here, verse 10. No, verse 8.
Yes.
And Cain spoke unto Abel his brother, and it came to pass when they were in the field, Cain rose up against Abel his brother and slew him. And Yehudah said unto Cain, Where is Abel thy brother? And he said, I know not. Am I my brother's keeper? Okay. And he said, What hast thou done? The voice of thy brother's blood crieth unto me from the ground.
Okay, hold it right there. Now, one of the things that, another time, this worth discussing amongst you, those that go to different congregations, discuss this more in length, because there's so much stuff within these particular verses in Bereshit. Just like a pet peeve for BINAH brothers. My brothers wanted to be at a turban, they had studied Genesis. That's 50 chapters. But there's so much stuff when you have a question, a quiz, a test on these questions and answers. You know, and it's not just as simple, even though we go with the Peshat, the plain, because now when we look even here, and it says, and Cain spoke unto Abel his brother. What was the conversation about? We don't know. Having not a clue. Now I know there's other books now out there. I know about these other little legends and midrashims and stuff like that. Now, for those that may be listening, I'm not saying right here according to the text. All right, that's my like I said, I keep it on the Peshat. It doesn't say here what it is, and it came to pass, right, after some time, when they were in the field, that Cain rose up against Abel his brother and slew him. Now when he spoke to him, then some time passed, and then he wound up killing Abel. Now, the first question a man ever asked God, the Creator of heaven and earth, am I my brother's keeper? That's the first question a man ever asked. First question God asked was, where art thou? The first question man asked, am I my brother's keeper? You know what I mean? That's a serious New Jack City thing, huh?
Yes, sir.
You know? But I mean, and it goes on saying, that brother's blood cry unto me from the ground, and now curse art thou from the ground which hath opened thy mouth to receive thy brother's blood from thy hand. When thou tillest the ground, it shall not henceforth yield unto thee her strength.
A fugitive or a wanderer shall thou be in the earth. And Cain said unto Yehoah, my punishment is greater than I can bear.
Hold right there. All right, now, that's one of the things I like to bring on and bring it off, and then I'm in there, and they let people. And I might hint on it when I go into Noah later on next week. One of the things is that what we have is that now the ground could turn around and curse you. I didn't know the ground had that kind of power. I don't even understand how that works. But we was taking up the dust of the earth. Dust thou art, and dust thou shalt return. The ground is cursed for man's sake. And now it's a reciprocal. I mean, if man was supposed to die, wouldn't some kind of blood be down there eventually? And man supposed to be born, wouldn't some blood supposed to be down there eventually? So why now, in this case, that the ground decided to curse man, a particular man? And you notice, it said, curse from the ground and not from the Creator. That's something to think about. And it says, and a fugitive and a vagabond. We finish off in Deuteronomy last week about heaven and earth being witnesses, against us.
Against us, right?
I mean, now if the earth is mad with you, where can you go?
Right.
If you're still down here, what mountain you could climb? What valley could you slip into? What sea could you run into? If the earth if the earth is messing with you, if the earth is cursing you, if the earth is upset with you, how much more for the Creator? And yet it's a fugitive and a vagabond. So I'm on the run. And yet you had the first repenter mentioned in Scripture. Because he admit he was wrong. Just like we admit we was wrong in Yom Kippur, he admit, yeah, this is my punishment. This ain't even your punishment. This is my punishment. And it's more than I can bear. And the Creator lighten up on him. Once you acknowledge you're wrong, once you acknowledge that you fell short, you keep hope alive, like they say. As long as you got life, you got hope. So we know how the story ends, and we'll speak on it a little bit more next week. I'm sorry that it took a little bit long for some people out there, and it might have been a little choppy here and there, but just so much in the first book of Bereshit. And Bereshit, the first Sidra, covers about 1,300 years. Because it goes all the way up to the birth of Noah, which is it stops in the 6th chapter, the 8th verse. So that's a 1,000 years plus time from Adam, and Adam lived 930 of those years. Hence, that's why we get the calendar as it is. When they talk about it's a lesson they use about the hay, when and hashishi, and the hay is number 5. But when it said, let us make man ye Yachai. Well, I'll speak on it more next week, where they talk about man and being created on Yom Teruah. That was the 6th day of the creation, starting 25th of Elul and goes to Yom Teruah. So I'll explain how they arrive at that type of teaching, as a memorial of the day of the creation of man, and the calendar, and also that plays on how the calendar is reckoned according to 5,781 years. So we into basically getting ready, just about finishing up. We finished the 5,000 year according to some teachings, and we have approaching the 6,000 year. So that's and that's dealing with from Adam's age to 5,000, from the time he was on the planet, 5,781 years. Now we ain't saying how old the earth is. We ain't talking about what they call prehistoric times. And there's another thing, I know some people might not believe in dinosaurs and all that stuff. But I'm saying, man, they sure do some funny things with some jigsaw puzzles, man, when you find these skeletons out there. You know, I mean, you know, and these moles, and then they found a mammal frozen in Siberia. You know, I mean, you know,
Okay.
frozen in Siberia, and I think in 2000 stuff like that. And they found, I understand, way in the 19th century, I couldn't find that where they found a mammal too before. But
Right.
the latest one was supposed to be like 2016, a frozen mammal inside of some ice. So then they try to run DNA. I guess they're gonna be one of them Jurassic Park things or something like that there.
Right.
You know,
Right.
because it had blood within it and stuff.
Right.
But so you know, I mean, we can't. The scriptures is basically giving us a view of mankind. It's not about the Creator. It's about us as human beings and our relationship to the Creator. That was all about. So any mistakes been my own, and I'm sorry to belabor most of y'all through this day, but you enjoy the Shabbat. Any questions? You know, I mean, you could, you know, shoot out, and I'll try to answer them the best I can. If I can't answer them, I'll say, well, you got me that time. It's a good one. Yeah. You know.
So anybody, if you have questions, you could send them to us at info@dcb.org or leave them after this. This stream is up. You could leave it underneath the comments. Be the best way. So that way, Nasik could look at them during the week. He could read the comments underneath the actual video, and I'll teach him how to do that. Get to the comments and get to read the comments and be able to be ready to answer your questions the following week. Well, this week you broke the bank a little. You got to 118 viewers consistently. So I guess us staying on a little bit longer got more people on to listen. and the longer the nights get, there's gonna be more. There's gonna be more people anyway.
Well, I won't be that long in the future.
But you know, these portions are long, and there's so much in them that you can't help but to, you know, take a little bit longer. So I mean, we got nothing but time. My food got cold, but I'm good. I'd rather do this. This is food right here. So this is a great thing.
All right, Baruch Hashem, everybody, and have a good Shabbat, a blessed Shabbat. And
Shalom, shalom.
All right,
Hallelujah, Shavua Tov. All right.